Hello, hello, hello. Hello, Daron. How are you? Daron, you missed your story last night. You were one of our featured guests in our story time. How are you, Wolfman? How was your day? Hey, Gigi, how are you? I've been calling you, and I didn't get you. I was trying to get some information from you. So after story time, I'm gonna give you a call because I need to get some information from you. How was your day today? Cold and rainy. Oh, wow. How cold is cold, Gigi? Is it like 35-degree cold or 17 degrees cold? Because that makes a difference. Hi, Denise, Lifestyle and Beauty Blog. How are you? How was your day today? $44 cold? Okay. And rainy. So I take it, Gigi, that it feels colder than 44 with the rain. Oh, good, Denise. I'm glad you had a good day. I'm glad you had a good day. I had a pretty good one too, considering I had to run. Yes, ma'am. Definitely feels colder. Ooh, wow. Yeah, it's been raining here too. It's been raining all day. And I was like, I had these appointments and stuff and had to get in and out the car. I didn't have an umbrella. But luckily for me, each time I pulled up to my spot, the rain stopped long enough for me to get inside the building. And it stopped before I came out. Okay. All right, Denise, saying thank you. Quite welcome. Quite welcome. So glad you could join us tonight. So glad you can join us tonight. Wolfman, why you so quiet? You hiding in the bushes? Gaming on the sideline? Yeah, because I was like dreading that. I hate getting wet. I think worse than the cold. I can't stand getting wet. I really can't. So Gigi, have you kind of navigated those streets? Denise, did you share out your story? Your story time with your friends? I'm going to give it a few more minutes, you all, before I start, because I did say I start at 10. And it's just that I'm trying to set up a little early before that, because I've been having that problem with stream labs. So it looks like when you wait till the last minute, it kind of puts you in a situation. I haven't, maybe tomorrow. Oh, okay. Oh, good. Denise Lifestyle and Beauty Vlog. She says her sister enjoyed it. Good, good, good. I'm glad you enjoyed it. I'm glad she enjoyed it. Hi, Frank, Lifestyle Channel. How are you? So glad for you to join me for a story time tonight. Thank you so, so much for being here. I really appreciate it. Denise is speaking to Frank. Gigi's speaking to Frank. Frank's telling everybody he's good. So you had a good day, Frank? That's good. Frank, are you and Denise having this lousy weather like me and Gigi? With all the rain and cold? Well, actually, Denise, it should be hot where you're at. Frank says cold and rain. Yeah, we've been getting it. Yeah, the cold and the rain. Denise, you're in a hot climate, right? No, it was sunny. Yeah, because I forgot you were in a warm climate. So you didn't get all the cold and the rain. Well, you all, it is 10 o'clock and I am really exhausted. And so I am going to go ahead and get started with our story so I can get to bed, because I have chemo in the morning early, and I have to go earlier than I normally was scheduled to go. So I'm going to go ahead and get started with our story time so that I can get showered and get to bed. Okay, so we left off on the story where she was playing croquet with the queen, and the queen wanted everybody to be beheaded, had the execution round everybody up, and so now she's kind of just hanging out there, I guess, waiting for the next wave of confusion to come along. And remember, they were going to get Cheryl Freeman, who was the Duchess, out of prison to confront her about something, because Brooklyn Chick kind of threw her name out there as a distraction from the queen wanting to behead people and stuff. So they already had Cheryl locked up in prison, so they went out. Hi, Vernice, how are you? Thank you so much for joining me tonight. You had a good day? So that's where we were. So now she has the encounter with, oh, good, good. She has the encounter now with Cheryl Freeman. You can't think how glad I am to see you again, you dear old thing, said the Duchess Cheryl Freeman, as she tucked her arm affectionately into Brooklyn Chick's, and they walked off together. Brooklyn Chick was very glad to find her in such a pleasant temper, and thought to herself that perhaps it was only the pepper that made her so savage when they met in the kitchen. When I'm a duchess, she said to herself, not in a very hopeful tone though, I won't have any pepper in my kitchen at all. Soup does very well without it. Maybe it's always pepper that makes people hot-tempered. She went on, very much pleased at having found out a new kind of rule and vinegar that makes them sour and chamomile that makes them bitter, and barley sugar and such things that make children sweet-tempered. I only wish people knew that they wouldn't be so stingy about it, as she rambled on. She had quite forgotten Cheryl Freeman by this time and was a little startled when she heard her voice from behind in her ear. "You're thinking about something, my dear, and that makes you forget to talk. I can't tell you just now what the moral of that is, but I shall remember it in a bit." "Perhaps it hasn't one," Brooklyn Chick ventured on to remark. "Tut, child," said Cheryl Freeman. "Everything's got a moral. If only you can find it," and she sneezed herself up closer to Brooklyn Chick's side as she spoke. Brooklyn Chick did not much like keeping so close to her. First, because Cheryl Freeman was very ugly, and secondly, because she was exactly the right height to rest her chin upon Brooklyn Chick's shoulder, and it was an uncomfortable sharp chin. However, she did not like to be rude, so she bore it as well as she could. "The game's going on rather better now," she said, by way of keeping up the conversation a little. "'Tis so," said Cheryl Freeman. "And the moral of that is, oh, 'tis love, 'tis love. That makes the world go around." Somebody said Brooklyn Chick whispered that it's done by everybody minding their own business. "Ah, well, it means much the same thing," said Cheryl Freeman, digging her sharp chin into Brooklyn Chick's shoulder again as she added, "And the moral of that is, take care of the scents and the sounds will take care of themselves." "How fond she is of finding morals in things," Brooklyn Chick thought to herself. "I dare say you're wondering why I don't put my arm around your waist," the Duchess said after a pause. "The reason is that I'm doubtful about the temper of your flamingo. Shall I try the experiment? He might bite," Brooklyn Chick cautiously replied, not feeling at all anxious to have the experiment tried. "Very true," said Cheryl Freeman. "Flamingos and mustard both bite, and the moral of that is, birds of a feather flock together. Only mustard isn't a bird," Brooklyn Chick remarked. "Right as usual," said Cheryl Freeman. "What a clear way you have of putting things. It's a mineral, I think," said Brooklyn Chick. "Of course it is," said Cheryl Freeman, who seemed ready to agree to everything that Brooklyn Chick said. "There's a large mustard mine near here. And the moral of that is, the more there is of mine, the less there is of yours." "Oh, I know," explained Brooklyn Chick, who had not attended to this last remark. "It's a vegetable. It doesn't look like one, but it is." "I quite agree with you," said Cheryl Freeman. "And the moral of that is, be what you would seem to be, or if you'd like it put more simply, never imagine yourself not to be otherwise than what it might appear to others that's what you were or might have been was not otherwise than what you had been would have appeared to them to be otherwise." "I think I should understand that better," Brooklyn Chick said very politely, "if I had it written down. but I can't quite follow it as you say it. That's nothing to what I could say if I choose, Cheryl Freeman replied in a pleased tone. Pray don't trouble yourself to say it any longer than that, said Brooklyn Chick. Oh, don't talk about trouble, said Cheryl Freeman. I'll make you a present of everything I've said as yet. A cheap sort of present, thought Brooklyn Chick. I'm glad they don't give birthday presents like that, but she did not venture to say it out loud. Thinking again, Cheryl Freeman asked with another dig of her sharp chin. I've a right to think, said Brooklyn Chick sharply, for she was beginning to feel a little worried. Just about as much right, said Cheryl Freeman, as pigs have the fly and the M. But here, to Brooklyn Chick's great surprise, Cheryl Freeman's voice died away, even in the middle of her favorite word, moral, and the arm that was linked into hers began to tremble. Brooklyn Chick looked up, and there stood Queen 73 in front of them, with her arms folded, frowning like a thunderstorm. A fine day, Your Majesty, Cheryl Freeman began in a low, weak voice. Now I give you fair warning, shouted Queen 73, stomping on the ground as she spoke. Either you or your head must be off, and that is about half no time. Take your choice. Cheryl Freeman took her choice and was gone in a minute. Let's go on with the game, Queen 73 said to Brooklyn Chick, and Brooklyn Chick was too much frightened to say a word, but slowly followed her back to the croquet game. The other guests had taken advantage of the Queen's absence and were resting in the shade. However, the moment they saw her, they all hurried back to the game. Queen 73 merely remarking that a moment's delay would cost them their lives. All the time they were playing, Queen 73 never left off quarreling with the other players and shouting, "Off with his head," or "Off with her head." Those whom she sentenced were taken into custody by the soldiers, who of course had to leave off being archers to do this, so that by the end of the half an hour or so, there were no more archers left, and all the players except the king, Queen 73, and Brooklyn Chick were in custody and under sentence of execution. Then Queen 73 left out quite out of breath and said to Brooklyn Chick, "Have you seen the mock turtle yet?" "No," said Brooklyn Chick. "I don't even know what a mock turtle is." "It's the thing mock turtle soup is made from," said Queen 73. "I never saw one or heard of one," said Brooklyn Chick. "Come on then," said Queen 73, "and he shall tell you his story." As they walked off together, Brooklyn Chick heard the king say in a low voice to the company generally, "You are all pardoned." "Come, that's a good thing," she said to herself, for she had felt quite unhappy at the number of executions Queen 73 had ordered. They were very soon. She came upon a griffin lying fast asleep in the sun. If you don't know what a griffin is, look at its picture. "Up, lazy thing," said the queen, "and take this young lady to see the mock turtle and to hear his history. I must go back and see after some executions I have ordered," as she walked off, leaving Brooklyn Chick alone with the griffin. Brooklyn Chick did not quite like the look of the creature, but on the whole, she thought it would be quite as safe to stay with it as to go after that savage queen she So she waited. The griffin sat up and rubbed its eyes. Then it watched Queen 73 till she was out of sight. Then it chuckled. "What fun," said the griffin, half to itself, half to Brooklyn Chick. "What is the fun?" said Brooklyn Chick. "Why, said the griffin, "it's all her fancy that. They never execute nobody, you know that. Come on, let's go." Everybody says, "Come on," here thought Brooklyn Chick as she went slowly after it. "I never was so ordered about in all my life. Never." They hadn't gone far before they saw the mock turtle in the distance, sitting sad and lonely on a little ledge of rock. And as they came nearer, Brooklyn Chick thought to herself, "Here we go again." She could hear him sighing as if his heart would break. She pitied him deeply, but would not say a word. What is his sorrow?" she finally asked the griffin. And the griffin answered very nearly in the same words as before. "It's all his fancy, just that, nothing more. He hasn't got no sorrow, you know. Come on, let's go." So they went up to the mock turtle, who looked at them with large eyes full of tears, but said nothing. "This here young lady," said the griffin, "she wants to know your history. She does." "I'll tell it her," said the mock turtle in a deep, hollow tone. "Sit down, both of you, and don't speak a word till I'm through." So they sat down and nobody spoke for minutes. Brooklyn Chick thought to herself, "I don't see how he can ever finish if he doesn't begin." But she waited patiently. Once said the mock turtle at last with a deep sigh, "I was a real turtle." These words were followed by a very long silence, broken only by an occasional exclamation of "hitch" from the griffin and the constant heavy sobbing of the mock turtle. Brooklyn Chick was very nearly getting up and saying, "Thank you, sir, for your interesting story," but she could not help thinking there must be more to this story, so she sat still and said nothing. "When we were little," the mock turtle went on at last, more calmly than still sobbing a little now and then, "we went to school in the sea. The master was an old turtle. We used to call him Tortoise." "Why did you call him Tortoise if he wasn't one?" Brooklyn Chick asked. "We called him Tortoise because he taught us," said the mock turtle angrily. "Really, you are very dull. You ought to be ashamed of yourself for asking such a simple question," added the griffin. And then they both sat silently and looked at poor Brooklyn Chick, who felt ready to sink like a ship. At last the griffin said to the mock turtle, "Drive on, old fellow. Don't be all day about it." And he went on in these words. "Yes, we went to school in the sea. Though you may not believe it, but take it from me, we did." "I never said I didn't," interrupted Brooklyn Chick. "You did," said the mock turtle. "Hold your tongue," added the griffin, before Brooklyn Chick could speak again. The mock turtle went on. "We had the best of educations. In fact, we went to school every day. I've been to a day school too," said Brooklyn Chick. "You needn't be so proud of as all that." "With extras?" asked the mock turtle a little anxiously. "Yes," said Brooklyn Chick. "We learned French and music." "And washing?" said the mock turtle. "Certainly not," said Brooklyn Chick indignantly. "Ah, then yours wasn't a real good school," said the mock turtle in a tone of great relief. "Now at ours, they had at the end of the bill French, music, and washing extra. You couldn't have wanted it much," said Brooklyn Chick. living at the bottom of the sea. That's not that impressive to me. I couldn't afford to learn it, said the Mock Turtle with a sigh. I only took the regular course, that's why. What was that? Inquired Brooklyn Chick, reeling and writhing. Reeling and writhing, of course, to begin with, the Mock Turtle replied, and then the different branches of arithmetic, ambition, distraction, uglification, and derision. I never heard of uglification, Brooklyn Chick ventured to say. What is it? The Griffin lifted up both its paws in surprise. What? Never heard of uglifying. It explained. You know what to beautify is, I suppose. Yes, said Brooklyn Chick, doubtfully. It means to make anything prettier. Well then, the Griffin went on, if you don't know what to uglify is, you are a simpleton. Brooklyn Chick did not feel encouraged to ask any more questions about it. So she turned to the Mock Turtle and said, what else had you learned? Excuse me. Well, there was mystery, the Mock Turtle replied, counting off the subjects of his flappers. Mystery, ancient and modern with seaography. Then drawling. The drawling master was an old conure eel that used to come once a week. He taught us drawling, stretching, and fainting in culls. What was that like? Said Brooklyn Chick. Well, I can't show it you myself, the Mock Turtle said. I'm too stiff, and the Griffin never learnt it. Hadn't time, said the Griffin. I went to the classics master, though. He was an old crab, you know. I never went to him, the Mock Turtle said with a sigh. He taught laughing and grief at the same time, they used to say. So he did, said the Griffin, sighing in his turn, and both creatures hid their faces in their paws. And how many hours a day did you do lessons, said Brooklyn Chick, in a hurry to change the subject. 10 hours the first day, and the Mock Turtle, 9 the next, and so on. What a curious plan, exclaimed Brooklyn Chick. That's the reason they're called lessons, the Griffin remarked, because they lesson from day to day. This was quite a new idea to Brooklyn Chick, and she thought it over a little bit more before she made her next remark. Then the 11th day must have been a holiday. Of course it was, said the Mock Turtle. And how did you manage on the 12th? Brooklyn Chick went on eagerly. That's enough about lessons, the Griffin interrupted in a very decided tone. Tell her something about the games now. The Mock Turtle sighed deeply and drew the back of one of the flappers across his eyes. He looked at Brooklyn Chick and tried to speak, but for a minute or two sobs choked his voice. Same as if he had a bone in his throat, said the Griffin, and it set to work shaking him and punching him in the back. At last the Mock Turtle recovered his voice, and with tears running down his cheeks, he started to talk again. You might not have lived much under the sea. I haven't, said Brooklyn Chick, and perhaps you were never even introduced to a lobster. Brooklyn Chick began to say, I once tasted, but checked herself hastily and said, no, so you can have no idea what a delightful thing a lobster quadrille is. No, indeed, said Brooklyn Chick. What sort of a dance is that? Why, said the Griffin, you first form into a line along the seashore. 2 lines, cried the Mock Turtle. Nothing more. Seals, turtles, salmon, and so on. Then, when they cleared all the jellyfish out of the way, that generally takes some time, interrupted the Griffin. You advance twice each with the lobster as a partner. In the line, cried the Griffon. Of course, the Mock Turtle said. Advance twice, set two partners. Change lobsters and retire in the same order, continued the Griffon. Then you know the Mock Turtle went on. You throw the lobsters, shouted the Griffon, with a bound into the air as far out to the sea as you can. Swim after them, screamed the Griffon. Turn a somersault in the sea, cried the Mock Turtle, capering wildly about. Change lobsters again, yelled the Griffon at the top of his voice. Back to land again, and that's all the first figure, said the Mock Turtle, suddenly dropping his voice. And the two creatures who had been jumping about like mad things all this time sat down again very sadly and quietly and began to whine as he looked at Brooklyn Chick. It must be a very pretty dance, said Brooklyn Chick timidly. Who you like to see a little of it? Would you like to see a little of it? Said the Mock Turtle. Very much indeed, said Brooklyn Chick. Come, let's try the first figure it. All out, said the Mock Turtle to the Griffon. We can do without lobsters, you know. Which shall sing? Oh, you sing, said the Griffon. I've forgotten the words to the song. So they begin solemnly dancing round and round Brooklyn Chick, every now and then treading on her toes when they pass too close, and waving their forepaws to mark the time, while the Mock Turtle sang this very slowly and sadly. Will you walk a little faster, said a whiting to a snail. There's a porpoise close behind us, and he's treading on my tail. See how eagerly the lobsters and the turtles all advance. They are waiting on the shingle. Will you come and join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you, will you join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you, will you, won't you join the dance? You can really have know nothing how deceitful it will be when they take us up and throw us with the lobsters out to sea. But the snail replied, too far, and gave a look a chance. Said he thanked the whiting kindly, but he would not join the dance. Would not, could not join the dance. Would not, could not join the dance. What matters is how far we go, his scarcely friend replied. There is another shore, you know, upon the other side. The further off from England, the nearer is to France. Then turn not pale, beloved snail, but come and join the dance. Will you, won't you, will you, won't you, will you join the dance? Will you, won't you, will you, won't you, will you join the dance? Thank you. It's a very interesting dance to watch, said Brooklyn Chick, feeling very glad that it was over at last. And I do so like that curious song about the whiting. Oh, as to the whiting, said the Mock Turtle, you've seen them, of course. Yes, said Brooklyn Chick. I've often seen them at dinner. She checked herself hastily. I don't know where dinner may be, said the Mock Turtle, but if you've seen them so often, of course, you know what they're like. I believe so, Brooklyn Chick replied thoughtfully. They have their tails in their mouths and they're all over crumbs. You're wrong about the crumbs, said the Mock Turtle. Crumbs all wash off in the sea. But they have their tails in their mouths, and the reason is, here, the Mock Turtle yawned at his eyes. I heard about the reason and all that he said, Griffon. The reason is, said Griffon, that they would go with the lobster to the dance. So they got thrown out to sea. So had to fall a long way. So they got their tails fast in their mouth so they could get them out again. That's all. Thank you, said Brooklyn Chick. It's very interesting. I never knew so much about any of this, including the whiting, before. I can tell you more than that if you like, said the Griffon. Do you know why it's called a whiting? I never thought about it, said Brooklyn Chick. Why? It does the boots and shoes, the Griffon replied very solemnly. Brooklyn Chick was thoroughly puzzled. Does the boots and the shoes? She replied in a wondering tone. Why, what are your shoes done with? Said the Griffon. I mean, what makes them so shiny, Brooklyn Chick? So shiny. Brooklyn Chick looked down at them and considered a little before she gave her answer. They're done with blacking, I believe. Boots and shoes under the sea, the Griffon went on in a deep voice, are done with the whiting. Now you know. And what are they made of? Brooklyn Chick asked in a tone of great curiosity. Soles and eels, of course, the Griffon replied rather impatiently. And shrimp could have told you that. If I'd been the whiting, said Brooklyn Chick, whose thoughts were still running on the song, I would have said to the porpoise, keep back, please. We don't want you with us. They were obligated to have him with them, the Mock Turtle said. No wish fish could go anywhere without a porpoise. Wouldn't it really? Said Brooklyn Chick in a tone of great surprise. Of course not, said the Mock Turtle. Why? If a fish came to me and told me he was going on a journey, I should say with what purpose? Don't you mean purpose? Said Brooklyn Chick. I mean what I say, the Mock Turtle replied in an offended way. And the Griffon added, come, let's hear some of your adventures. I could tell you my adventures beginning from this morning, said Brooklyn Chick a little timidly. But it's no use going back to yesterday because I was a different person then. Explain all of that, said the Mock Turtle. No, the adventures first, said the Griffon in an impatient tone. Explanations take such long, dreadful time. So Brooklyn Chick began telling them her adventures from the time when she first saw the white rabbit. She was a little nervous about it just at first. The two creatures got so close to her, one on each side, and opened their eyes and mouth so very wide, but she gained courage as she went on. Her listeners were perfectly quiet till she got to the part about her repeating, "You are old Father William," to the caterpillar, and the words all coming out different. And then the Mock Turtle drew a long breath and said, "That's very curious to me. That's very curious," to himself. "It's all about as curious as it can be," said the Griffon. "It all came different," the Mock Turtle repeated thoughtfully. "I should like to hear her try and repeat something now. Tell her to begin." He looked at the Griffon as if he thought it had some kind of authority over Brooklyn Chick. "Stand up and repeat. 'Tis the voice of the sluggard," said the Griffon. How the creatures ordered one about and made one repeat lessons, thought Brooklyn Chick. I might as well be at school at once. However, she got up and began to repeat it. But her head was so full of lobster quadrille that she hardly knew what she was saying, and the words came very queer indeed. "'Tis the voice of lobster," I heard him declare. "You have baked me too brown. I must sugar my hair. As a duck with his eyelids, so he with his nose trims his belt and his buttons and turns out his toes. When the sands are all dry, he is gay as a lark and will talk in contemptuous tones of the shark. But when the tide rises and the sharks are around, his voice has a timid and tremendous sound. That's different from what I used to say when I was a child, said the Griffon. Well, I never heard it before, said the Mock Turtle, but it sounds uncommon nonsense. Brooklyn Chick said nothing. She had sat down with her face in her hands, wondering if anything would ever happen in the natural way again. I should like to have it explained, said the Mock Turtle. She can't explain it, said the Griffon hastily. Go on with the next verse. But about his toes, the Mock Turtle persisted. How could he turn them out with his nose, you know? It's the first position in dancing, Brooklyn Chick said, but was dreadfully puzzled by the whole thing and longed to change the subject. Go on with the next verse, the Griffon repeated impatiently. It begins, I passed by his garden. Brooklyn Chick did not dare to disobey, though she felt sure it would all come wrong, and she went on in a trembling voice. I passed by his garden and marked with one eye how the owl and the panther were sharing a pie. The panther took pie crust and gravy and meat, while the owl had the dish as its share of the treat. When the pie was all finished, the owl, as a boon, was kindly permitted to pocket the spoon, while the panther received the knife and fork with a growl and concluded the banquet. What is the use of repeating all that stuff, the Mock Turtle interrupted, if you don't explain it as you go on? It's by far the most confusing thing I've ever heard. Yes, I think you better leave off, said the Griffon, and Brooklyn Chick was only too glad to do so. Shall we try another figure of the lobster quadrille? The Griffon went on. Or would you like the Mock Turtle to sing you a song? Oh, a song? Please. If the Mock Turtle would be so kind, Brooklyn Chick replied, so eagerly that the Griffon said in a rather offended tone, no accounting for taste. Sing her the turtle soup song. Will you, old fellow? The Mock Turtle sighed deeply and began in a voice sometimes choked with sobs to sing this. Beautiful soup, so rich and green, waiting in a hot tureen. Who for such dainties would not stop? Soup of the evening, beautiful soup. Soup of the evening, beautiful soup. Beautiful soup, beautiful soup. Soup of the evening, beautiful, beautiful soup. Beautiful soup. Who cares for fish, game, or any other dish? Who would not give all else for 2 pennies worth only of beautiful soup? Pennies worth of only beautiful soup. Beautiful soup. Beautiful soup. Soup of the evening. Beautiful soup. Full soup. Chorus again, cried the Griffon, and the Mock Turtle had just begun to repeat it when a cry of the trail's beginning was heard in the distance. Come on, cried the Griffon, and taking Brooklyn Chick by the hand, it hurried on without waiting for the end of the song. What trial is it? Cried the Brooklyn Chick as she panicked as she ran, but the Griffon only answered, come on, and ran the faster, while more and more faintingly carried on the breeze that followed them, the melancholy words. Soup of the evening, beautiful, beautiful soup. So that concludes our story for tonight. I hope you all enjoyed it. I think we have just one chapter left for this story, and then we could move on. Let's see who I missed. Anybody came in while I was reading? Let's see, please. Okay, thank you, Gigi, for reminding everybody. Please thumbs up the live. Okay, Denise is speaking to Frank. Gigi freaking, I am good. Denise, okay, Frank said it was cold. Okay, we read that. Hi, Vernis. Okay, hi, Deborah. I spoke to Vernis. Gigi speaking to Vernis. Vernis, I came in a few minutes ago, but was just a chair. Wolfman says he was good. Good, Wolfman. I'm glad you were doing good. Hi, Life of Memory Eating. How are you? Welcome, welcome, welcome to story time. I hope you got to hear the story. I don't know at what point you walked in because I was engaged in the story, but I'm so glad that you joined us. Then Frank was welcome. Good night, Wolfman, and Life of Memory. Life of Memory saying thanks. Gigi was saying thanks. Deborah. Frank says great story time. I'm so glad you all enjoy it. I look forward to having you all here for me to tell the story. I get excited when you hear. Thank you, Life of Story, throwing some love. I thank you all so much. So I will not have story time tomorrow or Thursday because tomorrow I have chemo, and usually the day after that is kind of rough. And then I found out why I was downtrodden fast this past week, because I found out they called me last night and told me that they have to give me another blood transfusion. So tomorrow I will have chemo, and during chemo I will be getting a blood transfusion. So I want you all to say an extra prayer tonight when you say your prayers for me. So that's what was going on while I was feeling so bad. I had I need a blood transfusion, which they realized they should have given it to me last week, but you know, I'm glad they picked up on it this week. Not that I'm looking forward to it, but it is what it is, and we have to do what we have to do. Frank says you will be in my prayer. Thank you so much, Frank. Yes. So I appreciate if you all could send up a little extra timber for me tonight when you pray. So that's what my day entails tomorrow. Chemo and a blood transfusion, and then the day after trying to have my body just adjust to all of that change, you know, and just trying to get some rest. But I will resume story time hopefully on Friday. If anything changes, of course, you guys know I'm the first to throw my little message out there letting you know whether story time will be continued or whether it'll be canceled. And even though I'm telling you all while you're here, I am going to shoot that message out there tonight to let people know who didn't join us in story time tonight that there will not be story time Wednesday and Thursday, so that everyone will know. Lifestyle and Memory says, yes, we'll be praying. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Denise says, sure, we'll be praying. I sure appreciate it. You know, the word says the prayers of the righteous goes very, very far, and I'm a true believer in that. So that's how kind of my week is gonna end up. But like I said, hopefully I'll feel well enough to continue story time on Friday. And like I said, we're at the end of this story. I think we did pretty good with it. So we should be with that last chapter. And depending on how short that chapter is, I don't really know how short that chapter is. If it's long enough, then that's all I'll do. But if it's a little quick 1, 2, 3, I may move on into our next story. But we'll just play it by ear and see how it goes. I don't know. Did Dyrone ever make it back in, or he was still hiding in the bushes? Dyrone. But I appreciate each and every one of you. Like I said, I do not take this time with you all lightly. I really do not, and I look forward to it. And it looks like you all look forward to it too. And I just thank you that everybody's attentive to what I have to say. And for story time, I really, really, really appreciate your support and coming into story time. And do we have any birthdays in the house? Anybody got any birthdays? I always sing the birthday song to a birthday person. They get an option, a choice of 4 songs. Either the regular traditional birthday song, or the Marilyn Monroe version, Stevie Wonder version, or the Two Live Crew version. No birthdays in the house tonight? I think somebody that was in here last night said they had a birthday in February, and they said whatever day, I don't remember. I think it was Frank. Frank, was that you that told us your birthday is this month? I think it was Frank. Was that you, Frank? Yeah, but I think it was Frank who has a birthday. Yeah, that was Frank. So Frank, come back. Make sure you come back on your birthday so I can sing your birthday song. I'm just curious, Frank, what would be your birthday song choice? Would it be Happy Birthday Stevie Wonder style, Marilyn Monroe style, the traditional birthday song, or the Two Live Crew? Yeah, I know your birthday's at the end of the month. I was just curious as to which song you would be interested in me singing to you. Would it be Stevie Wonder version, Marilyn Monroe version, Two Live Crew version, or the traditional birthday song? I was just curious, what would be your choice? Stevie Wonder. Oh, okay. All right. Gigi, you still don't get to hear it. Okay, Stevie Wonder would be your choice. But you know, of course, by the end, Frank, you don't have to, I won't hold you to it because it's not your birthday yet. So you can change your mind. But I was just curious as to which song you would pick. That's all. I was just curious. So you like the Stevie Wonder version. But anyways, ladies and gents, I appreciate each and every one of you. Like I said, no story time Wednesday tomorrow, no story time Thursday, and I will resume on Friday unless otherwise posted. I thank you so much for coming in and spending time with me for story time. Always remember, may His peace be with you until we meet again, and always remember, I have a will to live. All right. Love you all. Good night.